No problems with Wavelight technology, because I think, if I go back to the observation I made a few moments ago about technology, one of the uses that I really want to put technology to is to lend greater understanding about the nature of our sport. I think it's good for young people at home watching on television to properly understand how quickly an athlete is running. Wavelight technology allows them to do that. It allows them to see whether they're behind schedule or ahead of world record schedule. So for me, it's about a greater level of understanding. And when you say, you were uncomfortable about Wavelight technology that may have helped an athlete to a world record, well, athletes routinely, apart from this man in London, as he didn't need a pacemaker, but athletes routinely break world records with pacemakers. So, whether it's a human pacemaker or it's Wavelight technology, I think is probably a bit of an academic discussion. I see a difference, however, at this moment between Wavelight technology in a World Championship stadium, because, of course, unless a team has 3 athletes in a final and those 3 athletes decide to run as a team, there's nothing that would prevent you from doing that. But we don't routinely have pacemaking in championship events. And so I think there would need to be greater discussion. There will need to be greater discussion amongst our competition commission, and certainly eventually with our council, about the use of Wavelight technology in a championship environment. I think there's a difference there. Diamond League I have no problems with. Diamond League is show business. Diamond League is not a world championship. Diamond League is a way that a lot of people absorb their athletics during the course of a year. So in Diamond League, no, I'm very relaxed about that. I think we would need further consideration if it were to be adopted in a championship arena. Technology is with us all the time. There is a balance, of course. We have I think shoe technology was mentioned. Look, there is a balance. We want to be a federation that encourages and embraces innovation. I'm far older than the 2 illustrious athletes that we have sitting with us today. But I was training, running maybe 80 or 100 miles a week in shoes that these guys probably wouldn't walk their dogs in. And my youngest daughter was wearing a pair of shoes, and I said, "Oh, they're smart." She said, "Yeah, they're really trendy." And I said, "Yeah, I used to run 100 miles a week in those shoes," and she was wearing them for fashion. My sister, who is a few years younger than me, was wearing another pair of shoes, and I said, "Oh yeah, way back I was running 50 miles a week in those." So look, it's really important that shoe technology ostensibly aims at the welfare of the athletes, to allow them to train and, yes, perform better. There's no shame in that at all. No shoe company sets out to design a shoe to make people run slower or get injured. They want to design shoes that has that in mind. But there is a balance, and the balance is, of course, where does innovation and mechanical advantage balance itself out? And for the very first time, we now have a working group on shoe technology that is able to make those types of assessments. And we work with coaches, we work with athletes, we work with federations, we work with the world sports goods manufacturers, we work with all the shoe companies, and that's a good development. What other technologies do we want to see? Well, I want to see all sorts of technology. I want to see technology in terms of data. I want to see technology in terms of allowing our sport to be more understandable to young people, and not just technology that allows the media to understand a bit more. I want people that don't necessarily follow athletics to be attracted in. We are, for instance, looking at a documentary series, which we want to air over the course of next year. For those of you who may have seen various sports documentaries, like The Last Dance or Drive to Survive. We want the cameras and the media to get behind our sport, to understand the extraordinary nature of our competitors, their personal stories, their odysseys, the drama of our sport. And that's something that we're working on at the moment. And in 2026, we're going to create a new format. It's the 1 year where we don't have an Olympic Games or a World Championships, and we want to produce a new format. It won't be a World Championships, but it will allow us, in that year where there isn't a World Championships or an Olympic Games, for our athletes to compete at the very highest level, to showcase their abilities and skills, to make sure that people don't forget athletics in a year where there isn't an Olympic Games or a World Championships. And unashamedly, I want to put more money in their pockets, and I think that's important, particularly in the economic climate that many athletes are having to survive at the moment. So there's a lot of technology that we want to apply. We want to understand a great deal more about our sport. We want to make sure that data allows us to attract more sponsors, and economic impact work allows us to be able to sell our events to cities and agencies and governments, so that they understand that our sport can help them meet many of their own strategic targets around health, education, nation building, or even town planning.